Hey, what's up out there, online fans and community? So, got another segment of Straight No Chaser Talk. We're ready to rock and roll. We got Jay Falls from South Suburban College, or formerly of South Suburban College, Julian Short, formerly of Indiana University East. And today we're going to be talking to these guys because we've heard a lot about how the pandemic has affected sports at a professional level, major NCAA implications. We're hearing about fans and their desire to want to reconnect and get back um, to being able to support their teams. But we really haven't heard from amateur athletes because this has been an abrupt change in lifestyle. It's disrupted their pattern of behavior, and for some of them, it's created a finality to the end of their playing career. So I've got two gentlemen here that are going to be sharing their stories. I'm going to be having some straightforward conversation because this is, I think, a voice that is getting lost in the shuffle and voices that need to be heard as we are battling through this pandemic of COVID-19. So first off, we've got Jay Falls, again, formerly South Suburban College. Jay, can you walk me through what it was like, kind of where you were at in your basketball process, where you were at in your mind state in terms of how things transpired when you got news that we were under a pandemic of COVID-19?
So we had just won the Region 4 tournament against Carl Sandburg. We just punched our ticket to nationals. We had started prepping, doing scouting work against the school we were going to play. Had our bracket RC and everything was almost ready to go. And then a couple days before, we hear rumblings about COVID-19 is starting to spread and it's becoming deadly. So from there, we all kind of dismissed it because our coaching staff dismissed it, and they're like, we're gonna still play. They're probably just gonna not let fans in or anything. And so there was a point in time where every couple minutes I was refreshing the NJCAA's Twitter page, trying to find out something new, get an update, just hear anything, until I seen that it said that the NJCAA was going to cancel the national tournament. And like, you don't know how to feel so many emotions because it's like you work that hard for 4 or 5 months, busting your butt every day, suicides, waking up early to lift weights, the whole nine, to just have it all end just so abruptly without any type of adjustment to be made or anything. But it was like you're also appreciative that the NJCAA looked out for your safety in a way.
Mm-hmm. So where were you and who were you with when you got the news that the season was canceled? Were you with teammates? Were you with family? Kind of were you by yourself? Take me through that
I was,
experience.
I was my younger brother's a football player. We
Okay.
was at the doctor's appointment with him, and I'm sitting out. They went inside the building, and I'm just sitting on my phone scrolling through social media. It's been a long day. I was tired. I wasn't gonna get out the car, and I refreshed the Twitter page and it said NJCAA has decided to cancel. And I just like sat up in shock, and I ran in the doctor's office, probably scared out everybody in there half to death because I'm like, "Where's my mom? Where's my mom?" Like, and they took me to, it, and I'm like, "Yo, like our season's over." So it was just like all that just happened within like a 5-10 minute span.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then that sounds. I can definitely see that. There's a lot going on. You're trying to process it because you're here, and then now you're here, and then you want to somehow get back to a level of normalcy, but not even knowing what was coming up.
Yeah, trying to find some type of silver lining in the dark cloud.
Absolutely. Julian, tell me about kind of your experience and where you were at, how that transpired when you got the news, and what you were going through, and your reaction.
Well, basically, we were at the national tournament. We just won conference about a week or so prior. So we punched our ticket. We were supposed to play Southern Florida University, and the day that it was canceled. We'd have practice and walk through that morning. Once we had practice that morning, we went and had lunch around 12. Had it brought to the hotel room. Went downstairs to the lobby and grabbed our lunch. Went back upstairs, and about 15 minutes in, our game was supposed to be at 5 p.m. And so
Okay.
we're gonna leave like around 2 o'clock, get there early, prepare for the game. But around like 30 minutes after we got our lunch, he's like, the coach is like, "Hey guys, meet downstairs in the lobby. It's important. If you're asleep, wake them up. You got to get downstairs in the next 2 minutes." All right, cool. So we go downstairs, and I think everyone pretty much knew what was going on because the NCAA just made the decision
Yeah.
prior to that, and so we were kind of basing our decision based on what the NCAA did. And so every time they made a decision, we made ours. And then when I saw the NCAA cancel their tournament, I knew that's what it was about. And so we get downstairs, and the coach is like, "Okay, well, sure you guys have heard the news and everything, but they're canceling our tournament. We're not going to play today. We're actually going to leave early in the morning and head back and hit the road." And at that time, this is being my last season, and knowing the things that I've gone through in the past, and finally being able to get to a school where I'm comfortable and be able to do the things that I want to do to be successful. Your last game is not pictured like that. You know what I mean? You think about losses, you think about wins, but you don't think about a game being taken away from you like that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so it was a shock. And after every game within the past couple of years, they've lost the tournament. They had the conversation at the end in the locker room. Everyone's crying, emotional, obviously. The coaches say what they have to say, what they miss about the season, what they enjoyed. Then the seniors say what they have to say, and it's almost like a closure.
Yeah.
All the hard work is put in. You go out there, you play your hardest, and you talk about that. And we didn't do that. It was more so forced. It was almost like, okay, well, seniors, anything you guys want to say? It's like, no, no, I wasn't. I didn't know what to say, and so everyone, a couple of seniors say what they have to say. When they got to me, I was in shock. I said, I don't know what to say right now. I processed this because my whole mindset from this morning was to get ready to play the first of my last season in a national tournament. You know what I mean? So my mindset is getting ready. It's getting game ready. Prepping, remembering the scout, remembering the video, remembering their plays. Not, it's over. You know what I mean? So that was it was heartbreaking. I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. It was a tough pill to swallow. And after that, it was pretty rough mentally. It was pretty rough mentally, not gonna lie.
So I think one of the things that I'm really glad, first off, for you guys sharing your story, because we focus a lot of times on the major athletic programs. You got your NCAA teams, you've got your elite prospects, where this is a building block and a stepping stone to the next step in their basketball or athletic evolution. Right now we're talking basketball, but this also has impacted baseball, has impacted soccer, has impacted softball. So there's a lot of repercussions to the pandemic and how it's interrupted collegiate as well as professional sports. But we talk about those major programs. And I'm glad that you're here because Julian, you playing at an NAIA, and Jay, you playing at a junior college. Your path and what that looks like after this may be different from the path from someone that is playing in a major program or has pro prospects. Not to say that either of you aren't on that path, but it just looks and feels different. I think, Julian, one of the things you talked about was a level of closure, not being able to have that moment of finality, feeling like there would always be the what if. Jay, can you talk a little bit about what your next steps are? Because here it is, you're mentally getting prepared to compete in the national tournament, NJCAA, getting ready to get started with that. Now that's ended abruptly, unexpectedly. Kind of what do you see, or how are your next steps shaping up for you?
As of right now, I've been blessed to be able to still be recruited as far as going on to my next school. I have, and then it's also the whole stay-at-home order has also been a blessing because it's allowed coaches to watch a lot of film on guys that they may not have normally been able to get around to.
Great
so
point.
I've been still getting offers. Thank God that it's still the scholarships and stuff are still coming in for me. So I feel like it's great that this thing has also been kind of like a slow down process to where it's allowed me to be able to reach out to other coaches that I may not have had a chance to because they may have still been going in their season or whatever the case may be. So as of right now, it's just hindering the recruiting process because I can't physically go see a school.
Right. So on the one hand, for you, it's a sense of finality that the chapter with your junior college experience has been closed, but it's also provided a more fruitful opportunity to allow yourself to be, I don't want to say marketed, but visibility, because now coaches are able to have more time because they're not preparing for tournaments, they're not preparing for opponents, really to focus on the film and study and really make sure it's a great fit for their program if they're looking to bring you in. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've been able to live text with a couple of coaches while they were watching film. So it's like it allows that mean of communication because it's not like you can do anything else right now.
Right, exactly. Julian, you got a little bit different path ahead of you. Right now, your amateur collegiate career is over. Kind of where are your steps taking you after post COVID-19 and the cancellation of the basketball season?
I think immediately post COVID 19, once everything was canceled, mentally I was at a space where I didn't know what I wanted to do. I mean, I've always had an idea what I wanted to do, but I didn't want it to end like that. And so
Gotcha.
it was more so of the depressing type of feeling. But as days went on, weeks went on, I had to count my blessings and
Mm-hmm.
understand that no one's close to me is infected. I'm still alive. The NAI looked out for their players. There are so many positives that you can think about. The one thing that really stuck with me is our coach preaches a lot about this could be your last game or this could be your last practice. Play each game, each practice as if it was your last. And I think a lot of us take that for granted. I think a lot of us, especially for good programs, we know for a fact mentally, I mean, we're going to move on to the next round, or we're going to go to the next game. We're going to play the next game. And I think this was a perfect example that it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? And being used as an example to attest to that, I'm actually grateful for it. I'm glad that I could have been. I was used for that vivid example to show that it can be taken away within a matter of seconds. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
No matter if it was an injury, a loss, no matter what it is, it can be taken away. And so you have to go into each game, into each practice. And just like anything else in life, you got to go in it with full effort because whatever that is can be taken away in a matter of seconds. So that was what I was able to gain from this. Going into this quarantine, I've been able to focus on what I want to do. And the positives in that is I feel like the networking aspect is a little bit more easier because everyone is at home. Everyone is on the computers, so it's so easy to check emails or check messages and things like that. So using it to my advantage was something that I had to do. I think I had to actually find these positives, and which is not easy. I think it's definitely not easy. People can easily find the negatives and things, but I had to force myself to find the positives in order to keep going. And I think right now I'm on a great path to being able to still stick around the game of basketball, the game of sports in general, and doing something I love as well as helping others while I'm doing that. And so actually, I feel like I've grown from that experience a lot.
Good.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Good. So it's interesting. We've got two people in two different places. But the one thing that I'm hearing as a plus was accessibility to people. That you've been able to find the silver lining of being able to have access to people. Julian, from a networking standpoint, Jay was being able to really connect with coaches and really have conversations with them and make sure that you're able to have that back and forth dialogue, or at least having them have time to review your film more thoroughly, things like that. Let me ask you: Have you talked to your teammates, Julian? Have you talked to your teammates? How are they managing this? Just real quick.
Well, a few of my teammates I've talked to. Bishop Smith, he was actually All-American this past year, one of our leading scorers. Obviously, he took it pretty much the same way. I think a lot of the seniors took it the same way in the beginning, and then eventually they found a positive. He has some, I'm pretty sure, some different outlooks as far as with basketball and some upcoming events, and hopefully doing something professionally, whatever path he chooses to take. But he's learned from it as well, took those positives and took away the negatives.
Okay.
I think a lot of the seniors have done that. I'm pretty close friends with an upcoming senior coming up into the class this upcoming year, and so helping him, and we always talk about different things, different situations, and I think this was a perfect situation to prepare him to go hard all next year in the classroom or his job or whatever it is to make because it can easily be taken away. So yes, I think this was actually a way to keep everyone close and to teach everyone a specific story about themselves as well.
Great. Jay, how about you? Have you talked to any of your teammates and how are they managing?
I haven't talked to very many of them at all, to be honest with you.
Okay.
They all doing their own thing that they were doing, I guess, preschool, pre-COVID, going back to their individual lives, I guess.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this one last question before I let you go. And again, I appreciate you guys' time. There's been talk with major sports as well as amateur sports, and that is still having the games, but without the fans. Jay, let me ask you. Let's say the NJCAA came to your team and said, "We would still like to host a tournament." And Julian, I'm going to ask you the same question shortly as well. We're going to still host the tournament, but we're not going to have fans. What would your response have been, and how do you think you would have been able to respond on the court?
I don't know. From a competitive standpoint, it doesn't really matter because you're not the fans aren't within those four white lines with me, so they don't dribble the ball, they don't make a shot. But for me personally, my mom has been to just about every game that we've had, and she absolutely was going to be there for nationals. So it's like you'll miss the little nuances, like making a shot and hearing a couple claps, even if it's only 3 people in the stands. That means something,
Absolutely.
So
Julian,
it's like,
I'm sorry.
so just saying like that adjustment would be rough.
I could definitely see that. Julian, how about you?
I feel like I've had the experience on all those spectrums. I feel like in high school, fans were up and down. We had a lot of fans. We had no fans. Junior college, we had a lot of fans. Some games we didn't have any fans.
True.
And I can go on. But I think it's an adjustment. I think as an athlete, you adjust about, just almost a lot of different things. Injuries, you adjust to classwork, different classes, games, scouting. I think you adjust. And I think that would have just been another adjustment for myself. I agree with Josh as far as, they're not in the game. In the game, your focus on is this winning and doing the things correctly in order to win. And so I think, yes, it helps. We get that extra boost when you have fans. But then again, when you're in away games, you don't have that many fans. You know what I mean? So I think it would have been, it would have looked different. I think just like practice, we compete with each other, and it's pretty rowdy. I mean, obviously we can't do the things we do with each other to another team, but
right.
I think we would have adjusted pretty quickly.
You gotcha. It's interesting you say that because you played on the junior college level, especially if you're at a smaller junior college or depending on the level of JUCO. You can go from having 100 fans, 1,000 fans to 10 fans in a matter of a game. So I think while you may get used to the creature comforts of having people there, so we've all played a sport with no fans. It's just we've grown accustomed to having them there. Some people feed off the positive energy. Some people may feed off the negative energy. Me personally, I love to play on the road. Give me the away crowd. Let me look at the crowd. Let me stare people down. I remember one time we were playing a game and the fans were talking crazy, so I just kicked it up defensively. I've always been a great defensive player, and I told one of the fans, I said, you know what, you better get somebody else out here because I'm done with this one. And the whole sideline just cracked up laughing. So I was the exact opposite. Home crowd, not so much. But it's interesting that you say that because we've all played somewhere, whether it's a gym, whether it's a playground, whether it's a park, or even if it was a school that didn't have as much of a stronger fan base or as much support. We've always played without fans in some capacity. Even if you go to an open gym, or practice, it's not a lot of people there, or it's a select group. So again, it could be an adjustment, but I think we've all played in those type of atmospheres in some capacity. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to have a conversation with me. Any last points before we wrap up our segment?
None for me. I appreciate you having me on here. It's a lot of fun.
Not a problem. Definitely. I appreciate you sharing your experience because it's not easy. So I wish you well in the next steps. Julian, how about you?
Same. Yeah, I definitely appreciate you having me on here. I think this also, especially if other people watch, can give people a different outlook on how this whole pandemic has put a specific thought process in each athlete or another athlete. And everyone thinks different, but I think this was a good way to show people that it's not just about those big stars you see on TV. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, great point. And that's why I wanted to have the conversation. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.